Before we get into the video, shout out to our sponsors Subside clothing brand. Subside is a new, up-and-coming clothing brand established in Bristol that is looking to add something different with their clean designs that celebrate their roots. You can find the link to all their social medias in the description of this video. From the Terrace Podcast and Subside clothing brand, it's a match made in heaven. Support the boys, support the grind, shop Subside. Hello and welcome back to the From the Terrace Podcast. This is the second time of asking we're doing this intro. But there wasn't an upload on YouTube on the weekend, but it was on SoundCloud and iTunes. YouTube was having none of the upload, I'm afraid. But we are back, and we're back with a different episode. We're going to have to sort of go back to the normal ones next week after the international break. But this week, Regan, we are discussing, at first, Garry Monk being what we think is sacked from Sheffield Wednesday. Right decision? Can you understand it, or do you not have a clue what's going on there?
Well, in our first recording, you said you weren't sure because there were reports that he's been sacked, reports that have been left, and I'd like to think he would have left because I think it's a wild decision for him to be sacked. In the first one, he took them through the hardship of the points deduction stuff, the financial turmoil they've been in. And he's started well, to be fair, this season. And they've gotten back into positive points, and they're in a good run of form that I thought that under Garry Monk, they may have just put a chance to mount a bit up the table. But obviously, that's not going to happen anymore. And I feel like is a manager going to come in and start off really strongly, and basically put results together like Garry Monk's been doing? It's going to take a while, but I don't think we will start off with. I don't think no matter who it is. So it's a bit of a weird decision for me.
Yeah, it's a decision I don't understand either. I thought he's done the best with the tools he's had. He's stuck by the club when they've gone through this financial hardship and they've had the points deducted. He's got them into a position where they, pretty comfortably, they are going to stay up. I think we would all agree. Well, they were, at least with him in charge. I think we all agree that. So I think the decision is a very strange one. I thought they could have kicked on in seasons in the future with Garry Monk in charge. I think he's a very good manager. But Monk has left jobs or been sacked from jobs before in the past. And I think maybe there was something with him in the ownership behind the scenes. You don't know. But we're here to discuss who we think the next Sheffield Wednesday manager is. I think we should both go for who we think the next one will be and who we would personally choose. So, we've got the manager's odds. I'm pretty sure you've got them up. I did have them up. I believe it's Tony Pulis 1 to 2 on now to be the next manager. And in the likes, you've got the likes of Ryan Lowe in there, Sol Campbell, David Wagner, Simon Weaver. I believe one of them was Simon Weaver. Yeah, I think it was.
I don't have it in mind, but I have heard his name chucked around a few times.
Yeah. So, those are the options. Those are the bookies' odds. First, who do you think will actually get the job then?
I don't know because that's the answer. I don't know. Should we move on? No. I think that Sheffield Wednesday are a club that no matter how well they've performed so far this season, they're not in a good position. So I feel like they'll need someone carrying them forward a chance. I see Lee Johnson's name in there. I don't think he'll be a good fit. I think Ryan Lowe's good at taking teams up and such and stirring them. I'm not sure he has a lot of experience of really saving them from relegation. I'd like to think Tony Pulis, because we've seen him at Stoke, we've seen him at West Brom. He's very good at steadying ships that haven't really put a lot of consistency in their results, and that teams bring him in. And I think he did that at Crystal Palace, or it might have been Palace, I think so, where they were in a bit of a slump and they brought him in and they really steadied the ship and really spurred them on towards safety as such. I think that West Brom did that. So from that standpoint, I'd have to say all the boxes line up to be Tony Pulis.
Yeah, I think I agree. With his odds on it, if Pulis is odds on, usually the manager is odds on, even if it gets sort of delayed, drags out a bit. it usually is them who gets it. I mean, when I saw the likes of Sol Campbell put in the frame, I thought, could it really be him? Is he really gonna? I mean, he hasn't managed at that level. I think that'd be an odd choice. I was quite surprised he was even in the running. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be Tony Pulis at the moment. But as we can get onto, well, I mean, do you think Tony Pulis is the right choice? Because in my opinion, maybe for where they are at the moment, Pulis is a very good choice. But I don't think Pulis gives you much different to what Gary Monk gave you. So I wouldn't really understand going from Monk to Pulis. I think if they're looking to maybe, now they think they're safe, to maybe press on with a new philosophy that they'll like to have for a few years running, I think they'd be better off with, I don't know, actually. Out of those available names, I'm really not too sure. I mean, Danny Crowley. I think the Crowley brothers would be a good idea. I wouldn't mind. I thought they were harshly sacked at Huddersfield, although they're doing well now. I think they're a good idea. They'd be a good fit for Sheffield Wednesday. But this thing, like, if you'd given me all of those managers as options and Gary Monk, I would have picked Gary Monk. So I think whoever they pick, unless they're going to go abroad and surprise us, but with the bookies odds, it looks like they're not. I mean, I would personally. I mean, like, there we go. I'll give you the Cowley brothers are the ones I'd personally go for. Maybe. I find it really hard to pick. I mean, I don't know who you think your option would be out of the people who are available.
Out of the people you said, I agree that the best option is Gary Monk. But if I had to choose out the ones I've currently got on my list, and if their philosophy is to push further up the table and they think they already are safe, the only person I can really see on this list is possibly Nigel Pearson. I feel like he'll be a good person to get you a string of results together. And I think Nigel Pearson brings a lot of consistency to a team. We saw that with Watford at the back end, even though they were practically already down. And he brought them to the last day, and that was really good from him. And I think he left because of that, because he got relegated. So I'm not sure if he'd prefer a team in the Championship that's lower down than Watford, a team he left.
Beggars can't be choosers.
But I feel like for Sheffield Wednesday point, exactly, like from someone who wants consistency, if that's what Sheffield Wednesday need, then I'd throw Nigel Pearson's name in there.
Yeah, I completely forgot about Nigel Pearson. I think that's a good shout. The only thing I'd think of Pearson is just that, is he really a visionary? It may seem harsh to say that he's not, but I just mean I don't know if he's a long-term plan sort of guy. He's a guy who could maybe do well with them this season, try and take them up next season. But if it went beyond, I mean, that's very ambitious for where Sheffield Wednesday are at the moment. If it goes beyond those 2 seasons, is the club going to stick with him? I mean, we've seen they're quite gung-ho of managers. Is he going to stick with the club? I just think this is a strange decision all round. It's got to be something that's behind the scenes. It couldn't have been to do anything on the pitch. But I mean, I guess if you're going Pearson, I'm going Crowley brothers. I guess that's what we're going for. That's our picks of who we would go for. But I think we both agree we wouldn't have got rid of Monk in the first place. So really strange decisions from Sheffield Wednesday. Anyway, the next part of this episode we're going to get onto, like I said, it is a bit of a shorter one. We're going to go on to our players of the Championship season so far. Now, we've both picked a striker, a midfielder, a defender, and a goalkeeper. Now, I want to start from the back going forwards, Regan. So, who is your goalkeeper of the season so far? Now, I've got a feeling I know who you're going to pick. A certain on loan from Fulham goalkeeper is going to be your pick, is it not?
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah,
that is absolutely spot on. And can I clarify this before I go on and say I actually do not like Marcus Bettinelli. No. But the only reason why I've chosen this is because for the 2 seasons, the Premier League season and the Championship last season, his confidence took a massive, humongous knock. I mean, the season in the Premiership, he got dropped after 5 games. So he made like 3 errors, and he didn't play a single game since then. And the Championship, he did it again, and he got dropped by Marat Rodak. And obviously now they've got Rodak and Areola in the Premier League. There's no chance I really see Bettinelli getting anywhere near that first team anymore, as long as Rodak stays. So I did like his move, because we've seen it a few seasons. He's got the quality to be a very good championship goalkeeper.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like with Neil Warnock, and he's got the most clean sheets so far in the championship this season. And I know that that's a Neil Warnock team where they like to keep the clean sheet and nick a 1-0. But I've seen quite a lot. I've seen quite a lot of his play. His distribution is brilliant, and he's made some quite key saves. And I feel like I've got to give credit to him because his confidence must have been at an all-time low after basically getting promoted because of your saves, basically, because he made a few in the playoff final, to not really getting any game time back in the championship. So fair play to him, and I think he's done very good. And I would say that he's probably up there. Well, he is up there for me as the best goalie in the championship so far this season.
I feel Bettinelli at Fulham was maybe at times he was stuck with. So like he did get a bit of both, but I feel like he was very harshly treated. I feel like he's got more game time in the Premier League, and I understand the Rodak thing and how Fulham wanted to pursue him as the goalkeeper. But I feel like they've ruined that as well. They want to pursue him as goalkeeper, and as soon as they got into the Premier League, they've ditched Rodak as well. It seems quite a weird approach when I like Rodak and I like Bettinelli. I think Bettinelli's a very good championship goalkeeper, one of the best, as you said. Probably deserved a shot in the Premier League. You never know, he might get that of Middlesbrough, but the only thing I worry about is if at the end of this loan, if Middlesbrough are going to be able to afford Marcus Bettinelli is the thing. But yeah, you're right. Very good goalkeeper, least goals conceded in the division. You'd think there's not much you can argue with that. But the person I'm going to put forward, and I think we should both agree on each position, and agree like a little team to put together of our 4 players. Join. We'll have a debate. My one is Ben Foster, who I've put forward. I mean, we know Ben Foster's quality. I think we will agree that Ben Foster's a Premier League goalkeeper. I think you agree with me. Premier League goalkeeper. He's an absolutely brilliant goalkeeper. Brilliant man as well. But I know that doesn't bring anything into this. But Watford have been. Watford have started well, but they have had some indifferent results as well. I just think Ben Foster. It was games like that Wickham game. It's just to get. I think. Out of any goalkeeper in the league, like Bettinelli is being helped by a Warnock side that we know what Warnock's like. Like this is what I felt with Nick Pope at Burnley, and he's been getting England shout. Is that if you're in a team who loves to defend and just set up to defend, the goalkeeper's going to have an easier time of it, which is what I think Bettinelli's having at Middlesbrough. Whereas Ben Foster is still having to put out miraculous saves, and I think if you picked any goalkeeper, you're going to have 30 shots drilled at you in a game. Any goalkeeper in the division, I think you pick Ben Foster. I think he's the best for that. I just think he, hands down, in terms of ability, in terms of experience, he's the best goalkeeper in the league. And he, apart from that looping header that went over him last weekend, I think he's personally been the best performer in goal in the championship so far. I mean, I don't know whether you strongly disagree or whether you still believe Bettinelli should be over him. I don't know what you think, because I mean, I'm happy to decide. I get why Bettinelli's in the team because conceded the fewest goals. It just makes sense. But
I mean, the only thing I've got to say that I didn't really put Ben Foster in is because I know, and everyone knows, that he is one of, if not the best, not just goalkeepers, players in the Championship. He is. There's no doubt, and he should have had an England call up quite a few times in the last few years instead of getting absolute zero. But I suppose that's the only reason I didn't put him in, because I feel like for his standard and for what he's considered as, I feel like he should be keeping clean sheets after clean sheets and such. And some of the goals, I know they've let in a lot of goals, and I know their defense isn't great, but I feel like if he is an England keeper, as what many people are tipping him to be, I feel like he should be conceding less. But I suppose that's down the defense. And of course, I'm just being biased with Bettinelli because I've seen the hardship he's been through, and I think the chances he's taken, the chances given as Middlesbrough, I think he's taken a lot. But that's just me being biased.
yeah, you know what? Like I get I still stand by my point that I think goalkeepers and centre backs are only as good as the setup and the system they're in. A lot of the time, I think there's so many average defenders who get put in a very good setup, and then they look great. And same with the goalkeepers, but I'm happy to sort of, I don't know, lose this one. I'm happy to put Bettinelli as our goalkeeper because I think I agree with your points that Ben Foster is expected to be the best goalkeeper in this division, whereas Bettinelli's performances have maybe surprised and been above what you would expect. So I'm happy to go with Bettinelli in goal. Defenders next. I think I'll go first in this one. My defender is Paddy McNair. Now, Not a player that I have been a big fan of at all, really. Was a defender for most of Manchester United, a defender at Sunderland as well. Came to Middlesbrough and was shifted into midfield where he started taking corners and the likes of that. And I thought that's strange. But he's been in main part of the defence so far this season for Borough. And I mean, I'm going to counter my own point here, but Borough have conceded 5 goals this season, Regan, and he's been basically a mainstay of the defence. I don't think you can really look past that. And like again, it's another part of the discussion you were having with Bettinelli is that this is we're talking about players who are maybe performing to what we wouldn't think they would. And the fact that Paddy McNair's conceded that least amount of goals, because to be honest, I look at the Middlesbrough team and I think it's awful a lot of the time on paper. But Paddy McNair has been brilliant. I'd like to see you're putting up against him because I think he should be 100% in the team.
I've got to be honest, Paddy McNair was on mine, but the only reason I didn't put him in is because I couldn't have a Middlesbrough defender and a Middlesbrough goalkeeper because I just think that's just wrong. So the person I put forward is Ben Cabango from Swansea.
Yeah,
and the reason I did that, he's still very young. He's 20 years old. And going into this season, I can't remember where I had Swansea, but I think I had it quite low. And that's because they lost Mike van der Horn. And I feel like he was a proper general at the back, a proper leader at the back. And going into this season, I was like, do Swansea really have that defensive presence and that defensive hardship that can keep these teams out? And so far, I mean, they've been playing a free back for a lot of the time, and he's been that centre back. He's come in from relatively kind of nowhere the past few seasons, and he's been brilliant. He's played that Mike van der Horn role in the centre of a back three. He's grabbed a few goals, which is a bit of a bonus. And I think they conceded second least, third least in the league, something like that. And a team that I literally wrote off before the season even begun because they lost a lot of their key players and their key defenders. I think he's done a brilliant job.
You know what? I do agree with you. Cabango was one where last season, you know, when you're sort of skeptical on a player and like players get hyped up and you think, well, hold on a minute, let's see how good they actually are. And I agree with you. He's sort of Swansea have been very good at the back so far this season. Cabango has had to play. It's not exactly like Swansea set up in a system where you sit back and defend. He has to be open and on the ball. My only thing I don't know, I'm still skeptical about is that Swansea are a team who so far this season play football very high up the pitch and keep a lot of the ball. And I think, is there much defending Cabango has to do? That may seem harsh, but I think although it's a skill to be able to play on the ball and defend at the same time, because you have to go both ways to think about it. Whereas a lot of the time people would argue Paddy McNair has to just think about defending, but Paddy McNair has to think about defending a lot compared to Cabango, in my opinion. So that's why I'd like to see him in the team. I don't want to concede too many of these to you, but I am sort of against putting 2 Borough players in there.
I just say that I know for a fact you're going to get the attacker in, so I feel like I'm due one more.
You know what? I am going to give you Cabango, and just because he has surprised me, and fair play to him for how well he's been good so far this season. Because, like you said, I thought Swansea would fall apart completely defensively. They didn't just lose Van der Horn; they lost Rodon as well. They lost big players in that defence, and Cabango's kept it together along with Garry. Right, midfielder now, and my one is quite an outside shout, you know, and but I stick by it because I predicted this guy to be good at the start of the season, and it's not who you'll think. It's not the Brentford guy. But I predicted this guy to be good at the start of the season. I thought he'd be their best player, and I think he has been so far. But I'm going to let you go first of yours. Though I'm going to let you go first. Your midfielder.
I've got two here, but I'm going to the one I was thinking of was Bradley Johnson for Blackburn. Because he started off brilliantly. I think he won the first player of the month for the championship. And I might be wrong. I feel like he might have done.
I'm not.
But I'm going to leave him out. I'm going to put in Oliver Skipp for Norwich.
Okay.
I feel like he's come in. I think there was a lot of expectation from him. He's a young lad, and Norwich coming in as favourites of the league. I feel like there was a lot of expectation on him, and even though he's not put his numbers in the stat sheet and he hasn't got any goals or assists, at least not to my knowledge, he's been very solid. And I think he won at least Norwich's Player of the Month last month. And I feel because a lot of Norwich, especially 2 seasons ago, it was their midfield really that really won that league. And yes, Pukki scored a lot of goals, but they really won and lost games in the midfield.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's what's happening a lot this season as well. And I feel like he goes under the radar a lot, and it might just be me that thinking that he doesn't get enough credit, and that's why I've put him in here. So when you think of Norwich, you think of Bendia and Cantwell and players like that. So I feel like he deserves a lot of recognition, but yeah, I'm going to put on Oliver Skip, but that may just be me thinking he's underrated more than the best in the league.
Okay, I understand Skip, and I think he's done well, and I think he's a good player, and I understand the selection. But I'm happy. I'm happy. I think I can win this. My selection's Jamie Patterson for Bristol City. Now, the guy in that Dean Holden team has been everything that's good with that team. It's been energy. He's, you know what? Sometimes maybe harshly his ability is criticised, and I am one who's criticised his ability. But the energy he gives in that midfield, the directness, the charges to goal. He's scored goals. He's made them two. And I think Bristol City are a team that heavily rely on energy. They're a team that play that under Dean Holden. They've tried to play on the front foot. They've tried to outrun the sides. They're very nippy in midfield. They try and nick the ball. And where they've had injuries in like Andy Vyman, the likes of him, I think Patterson's is the ever present. I think he'll be ever present in Dean Holden's plans, and he will be Dean. I predicted that under Dean Holden he would be his best player, because at the beginning of last season when Holden took over, Patterson just sort of started becoming a great player again out of nowhere. And Patterson's got the championship pedigree, and I just think that Holden's the manager who's getting the best out of him. I just think in terms of the championship this season, there's very little players who have, even if you don't agree with his ability being the best in the league, very little players who have had a bigger impact on a team and a team the way they want to play than Jamie Patterson. So he's my shout. I mean, I'd like to get your view on that, and whether you think maybe you would concede your Skip, or maybe you think I should still concede on Patterson. I don't know.
No, I'm very happy with Patterson because, like you said, Bristol City, when they win games, the personification of energy is Bristol City when they win those games. And when you think of energy in that midfield, I think of Patterson straight away, because that's just what he brings to the team. And like you said, with the injuries that Bristol City have had, even defensively as well, I feel like that he's quite an underrated defender. I feel like when he tracks back, he's actually very good.
Mm-hmm.
And with Weimer's injury as well, I feel like he's really stepped up, especially under Holden, because under Lee Johnson, he was kind of, I don't think he really
He was
reached.
in and out of player. He got loaned out to the likes of Derby. I thought it was a bit.
Yeah, I feel like he's found his home here, home at Bristol City now, and I feel that's down to Holden as well as his ability. So I'm more than happy to give up Skip, because he surprised me a lot, Patterson.
Good. Now, we've got a goalkeeper in Marcus Bettinelli. We've got a defender in Ben Cabango. And we've got a midfielder in Jamie Patterson. Now, we just need our striker for the team. I mean, I'm going to put mine out there because I think it's obvious who I'm going for. I'm going for Mr. Ivan Toney, the bags man, the Brent for the league, the next guy who's going to be banging goals, I'm sure, in the Champions League at some point. I'm joking. No, but I mean, the pressure that was on Ivan Toney's shoulders before this season was immense. He was the most Brentford. Actually, that's a lie. He was the most expensive player in the Championship transfer window. He cost about £5 million with add-ons. Everyone knew he was taking over from Ollie Watkins. People knew there was rumours that Ben Rama was going to leave. The goals were pinned on Ivan Toney. And to be honest, the goals have came from Ivan Toney. He's got 10 goals this season. He's got a goal ratio of he's got a goal every 90 minutes. He's pretty much scored all of Brentford's goals this season. If Brentford would be buggered without him, in all honesty, they would. He's just done everything like a good striker does. He's not just scored goals. He's put in great performances. He's held the ball up. He showed skill. He showed strength. Showed pace. Most defenses can't handle him. The only time when Ivan Toney doesn't score is when he doesn't get the service, when his teammates don't perform. If you get the ball to Ivan Toney, he scores. His conversion rate's unbelievable. I just think it's not just the amount of goals he scored already. It's the pressure on his shoulders, and the pressure that team is built around Ivan Toney, and he has to score the goals, and he is doing it. I just think he's the most complete striker in the league already. I think there's little who can do as much as him. He maybe doesn't get in behind as much as you'd like, but I think that's because a lot of teams play Play pretty defensive, like a low block against Brentford. So yeah, Ivan Toney is my shout. He's technically not anymore the Championship's top goal scorer, but was for plenty of weeks. And I think there's only one man you're going to say who's going to rival him in this discussion, isn't there?
There is one man that can rival him, but that's actually not my pick because I think Armstrong is just incredible, and I feel like he's a good player anyway. So I don't think he's had an out this world season. But I'm going to concede to Ivan Toney anyway because his step up he's made is nothing short of brilliant, and the goals that were missing through Ben Rama and Watkins, and he even on his own as such, Ivan Toney's shown he can live up to the hype of what Brentford fans take him out to be. But I might as well throw a player in there. And I once again was tossing up between two. One was Lucas Shaw for Reading because I feel like this season he's found his consistency, and I feel like he's one of the reasons why Reading are where they are. But I think I've only chosen this one because he's underrated, just like Ollie Skip again. But I've put Tyrese Campbell as my selection from Stoke because we've seen this quite a few times. Stoke on paper don't have an amazing team, but they're up there. They're up there in the league. And Tyrese Campbell, he's grabbed a few goals, but it's his playmaking as a striker as well. He's got the most assists in the Championship as well as an out-and-out striker, and he's still very young. And a team like Stoke, where they do like to attack, and they put like what Brentford do with Ivan Toney, they put a lot of pressure on these young players. And I feel like Tyrese Campbell, only 20 years old, I think he's really grabbed this opportunity this season by the scruff of the neck. And I know he's not going to beat Ivan Toney because Ivan Toney's been brilliant. But I just thought I'd give recognition because I don't think many people really throw his name out there. And I feel like he's had a brilliant start to the season for a young man.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with Tyrese Campbell. I think he's very much gone under the radar in the Championship in terms of young players. He's one of the ones who just keep going around his business. We don't need this hype around him. Great player. And I think him playing off Fletcher's a good idea. He likes to nip in there and get the goals. He's technically good footballer. I like Tyrese Campbell, and I think he's really going under the radar. But that's a good thing. We don't want to hype him up too early because, let's be honest, even though he's got a few goals, he's not exactly set the world alight yet. So, I really like Tyrese Campbell. I completely agree with you. And like we've still said, like we're going to go with Ivan Toney, but Campbell's very much an honourable mention in terms of players who have been brilliant so far this season and was good off the back of last season as well. He was very much his first season. He was getting used to it. This season he's going on more, and it wouldn't surprise me if next season he's a 20-goal a season striker. That would not surprise me at all. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Champ Talk. It's a bit of a shorter one. We'll have another proper episode next week where we do our predictions. We look at how we did last week, and we all know. We don't all know, but I know that I've done well, so that's good. We both did better than the week before. We've had some couple of tragic weeks, but we know last weekend we did all right. We'll be back for the weekend's fixtures, and then is there a midweek games? I can't remember. If there's midweek, but we'll be back next week with another episode of Champ Talk. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the From the Terrace podcast YouTube channel, leave us a rating on iTunes, and we'll see you in the next Champ Talk.